Hey, Ohio, welcome once again to the Retirement Blueprint Show with Tim Lofton of Axum Planning and Wealth. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. Mr. Tim Lofton, you look good, we feel good. What's on your mind this week?
Spike, I want to know, when I say the word retirement, you're at home right now watching, did I just make you smile or cry?
Okay.
Because listen, that word is a word that elicits a response based on where we are. Are we ready? Are we prepared? Have we done the things that we need to do? Do we have a plan?
Yeah, when you say that word retirement, is it an eye roll? Does it give you anxiety? Does it make you start to think of all the things you're trying to catch up on? So on today's program, I think that's what we want to really discuss are what are the things that you can do if you feel that you are behind? What are the things you can do if you're right on the bubble? And even if you feel that you're well prepared for retirement, do you have all of your boxes checked? That's our program today, is being retirement prepared. So you've often said that there are different groups of retirees. Yeah. What do you mean, by region or by preparation?
No, there's basically three groups that people fit into. And again, there's outliers, but I'm generalizing here. You have one group that is over-prepared, and those are fun people to work with, right? I mean, they have done a great job of saving. They have over-saved for what their need is, and they feel very secure in their retirement. But listen, there's a lot of issues still to be fixed, even if you have your nest egg squared away when it comes to tax planning, or how are we going to get that money out of a retirement? What is our tax strategy? Estate planning and asset protection. Those are all things that go into that over-prepared. Then we have their cousin, the black sheep, the underprepared, people who are not even close. They feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready for retirement, and they think they're going to have to work forever. Those folks have an opportunity to get caught up, and we want to talk about that on the show today.
Yeah.
And then there's the bubble people. Those are the folks that are on the cusp of being okay or not okay. A good market could send them over and they're good to go, or a bad market could take them under and put them in that underprepared category. Over,
under, and right on the bubble. We'll talk about all three of them. What I want, let's go back to number one there, the over-prepared. Now, they might think that they're over-prepared. There's two things I want to ask you about. We have a large nest egg. Let's say you have $2 million, $2.5, $3 million. You've got liquid assets in investments, but you don't actually have all of that, do you? If it's been in a 401k or something like that. What do you mean?
Well, when you look at the statement value, so let's say that you have that $2 million 401k and it looks good. Like, you look at that, it's kind of like going to the ATM machine and seeing your balance. You're like, man, that just makes me feel good on the inside. What we're looking at is not our actual number. So if we have $2 million, for example, in a 401k, remember that there's a tax bill on that, probably in the $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 range if you were to take all that money out. So that $2 million is really closer to 1.5, 1.6, but we don't think about it that way because we look at the value. The same thing holds true, Spike, when we go to take income. If we're looking at that $2 million portfolio, and we've read on Google that we can take a 4% withdrawal rate, that's $80,000 a year, and we've calculated all of our numbers and said 80 grand is perfect, except that we're not going to get to keep all 80 grand, right? Yeah. We have to pay taxes on that. So all of a sudden, the 80,000, we're taking off probably $25,000 for taxes, and now we're going to be short.
So when we're looking at our retirement savings, we need to be realistic about what the tax implications could be. That number that you're looking at your statements, that might not be all of what you actually have. You've got to actually take into account your tax bracket and possibly what that tax bracket could be in the future. Staying on this before we go out to break, folks who think that they are almost over-prepared for retirement, people who get pensions. Boy, I'm jealous of that.
I am jealous.
I am
want a
happy
pension
for them. There's government employees out there, a lot of state teachers, a lot of those who have protected in service, and bless you and thank you very much. But I would say in the government sector, I'm not as worried, but you and I have read so many stories recently of massive organizations canceling their pension plans or not being able to afford it. My worst case scenario was somebody, and this was one of the large organizations. Imagine you're 70. You've been receiving a pension from what you worked at before, so you're already retired, and they're now saying, we're canceling the pension program because we don't have enough in there. It almost kind of starts to sound like Social Security. And then you get a choice within 5 or 6 days. You get this version of a lump sum, or we're handing this off to an insurance company, and best of luck. Should we not worry about sitting down with a financial advisor if we have a pension?
No, I think it's even more important because we need to be able to answer, you need to be able to answer the question, if my pension went away, what would I do? If my Social Security went down, what would I do? We had a client that was a pilot for Delta Airlines, did everything right, no debt at retirement, did a great job of saving. Everything was exactly the way that it was supposed to be until he went to his mailbox one day. He gets that letter out of the mailbox and he looks down at it and it says, your pension's going away. There's no more pension. Now, in his case, we had prepared to replace his pension in the event that he passed away for his spouse with additional assets. So all that happened is we turned it on early for him because he was prepared. He had a written plan. We knew what we were going to do. Not everybody is that lucky. If you don't have the answer to that question, what are you waiting for? Getting a plan in place now is so important as we approach retirement.
It's that kind of sleep insurance, and maybe everything will be totally fine.
It gets the worries out of their heads.
They'll pat you on the back, say, keep doing what you're doing. We'll take a look at the taxes. We'll take a look at the investments. I would just say this. I'm not trying to instill fears. Think of whatever organization might be giving you a pension plan and take a look to see how is that industry doing. Some of the biggest ones off the top of my mind right now is I know the largest car company last year offered a voluntary separation plan. That's different than the pension, but it was basically saying we're cutting the workforce. The largest trucking company in the world just did the same thing with pensions, and one of the largest healthcare providers in certain states canceling their pensions. I'm only saying consider sitting and talking with a financial advisor to see if taking a lump sum, continuing it there, or before you even turn on the pension, what should you do? One of the things you can do is call that phone number you see right down there on the bottom of the screen. Even if you feel that you are well prepared for retirement, why not get a second opinion from someone who does it every single day in their offices? There's no cost for the retirement blueprint that Tim himself created. The only cost is a couple of moments of your time to dial that phone number right down there. More with Tim Lofton right after this message.
My most rewarding moment for helping clients is seeing the fear of the unknown disappear from their face. Some people are worried about a potential nursing home stay. Some, it's market volatility and losing their money in their investment. Some are just genuinely concerned about the direction of the economy. But for the most part, the whole taking away of fear and concern starts with having a plan. Not something off the shelf, but something customized to that family where we can sit down and get to know them intimately, to understand what their hopes and dreams are. What do they want to have happen after they're gone? And make sure that those things happen. The retirement blueprint is exactly that. It's a blueprint for retirement. It's built off of the 5 cornerstones of retirement planning. That's developing an income plan, creating a tax plan, an estate plan, a long-term care and health care plan, and of course, the investment plan. And the best part is we have a team of people to come alongside to do all of those things that have the credentials and the expertise and the years of experience to make sure that everyone is coming together to create the best plan. It takes those worries out of their head and puts solutions down on paper.
Welcome back to the Retirement Blueprint Show with Tim Lofton of Axum Planning and Wealth, and I'm your host, Spike Spangle. And today, we know that there are millions of Americans across the country, and a few million, maybe even here in Ohio, that are worried about being underfunded for their retirement or being behind. Let's talk about that, Tim. Let's figure out what can we do for the folks who are feeling behind. Look, I know this. You've got 3 kids who are looking down the shotgun barrel of going to college soon.
Yes.
You've got wonderful caring parents like yourselves who are probably putting money away for that and trying to help the kids out. There's also part of what we've discussed before, the sandwich generation, where maybe we've got aging parents that we're starting to worry about. And so we're putting our money in different places and maybe not maximizing us. If we're feeling behind, where do we start? What's a good couple of steps to begin with?
Well, I think the first thing is to understand the importance of retirement. And where the underprepared person kind of gets derailed is a lot of the things that you just said, Spike, where, we're trying to pay for the kids' college maybe, or we're trying, maybe one of the kids gets into some trouble and we're helping them out. We're helping them buy their first house. We're taking money out of a place where we would normally be able to place it in retirement and start that growth process, but we're not putting the right priorities on what we're doing. So if you think that, the kids are going to come back and take care of you and they're going to, pay all the bills and everything, then you're probably okay. But for most of us, now's the time to get serious. If you're behind the 8 ball, if you've not done what you need to do, or at least don't feel that you have, let's at least start with identifying what you need to be doing today.
Okay.
In other words, can I get caught up with being able to just save more money? Or is it maybe I'm going to have to work a little bit longer, or maybe a hybrid of that, of if I keep working for X number of years, then I can go part-time. There's a solution in there for somebody to find for you if you just sit down and talk to them.
How about somebody who's come in recently? I mean, because I tell you what, we're sitting watching us on television over here, and you don't want to hear us saying work a little bit longer. But look, we're also living longer into retirement. So maybe a year or two at being able to do, if you were doing full catch-up contributions at almost $30,000, there's another 60 plus compound interest, plus all of the added of you being able to work over time. So what are some of the things that you've told people who have actually come in recently?
So we just met with a client that second marriage, they both kind of were behind the 8 ball a little bit because of the divorce and some other things that had happened in their family lives. And they're sitting there across the table, and quite honestly, you could just feel the tension, Spike.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I would say is, if that's you, you're not alone. You're not the only person out there that's behind on retirement. But they sat across the table from us, and the thing that really helped us out was they were able to tell us exactly where they wanted to be, exactly what that retirement looked like. We were able to look at some of the other things that they were doing. They happened to own some real estate that wasn't really performing that well. It was rentals. They didn't really like the rentals. They each kind of ended up with these rentals from previous marriages as part of the divorce. And they were able to transition by selling that real estate into that being a primary source of retirement savings and kind of right the ship. That, along with the catch-up provisions and a little bit of change in their spending habits, and they're back on track.
Yeah. Sometimes it just takes like a little bit of an eagle eye to take a look at it, because we know that we've got the good intentions there, but it's just kind of like sitting with a financial coach and even a financial marriage counselor at times.
Worrying doesn't fix the problem. Having a plan fixes the problem. Implementing the plan fixes the problem. So if that's you, what are you waiting for?
Well, and here's the thing. Some people might think that there's a great cost to it. I know that if you're going to sit down with a lawyer, you've got to pay a retainer fee. If you're going to a doctor, at least you've got your copay and whatever else from the tests, and maybe it's an 80-20 plan, or it's a high deductible. To come in and sit with you, you've said this often, maybe you could explain it to our viewers again. There's no cost for you to do this. You don't charge them for a review. You don't even charge to take a look at the investments or put together these puzzle pieces for people. You do this out of your goodness of your heart? Come on, Tim.
No, listen, we're being intentional about this. We understand that's a hurdle. We can't ask you to pay us money without knowing what it is you're going to get for it. So what we want to do is sit down and design the plan. If the plan makes sense, people are going to be happy to work with us and they see the value there, then that's fine. If they don't see the value, if it's not the right fit, we don't want them to feel like they're committed.
Right. And the other part of it, sometimes folks might not pick up a phone because they might feel embarrassed for what they're behind on, especially for what we're talking about. Say, I don't want to show a financial professional that I haven't saved enough. Come on, isn't this what you see every day?
This is what we see every day. If you feel behind, if that's you, this is your opportunity to make that stop right now. You can pick up the phone, give us a call, 855-684-3485. We will sit down with you and we will design a retirement blueprint that makes your retirement work.
All right, and then obviously the final one is, and this is what was interesting to me, you said this could be almost the more important even than folks who are behind, because you can give them strategies to work on. The ones who are on the bubble of feeling that they're prepared. It's the difference between the worrying and setting up the retirement of your dreams. What does on the bubble for retirement look like for you?
Well, on the retirement bubble is if you're sitting there looking at a bad economy or a good economy making a difference in the outcome of your retirement, that's what being on the bubble is. It's like you're almost there.
So you haven't locked it in because you're still watching the markets go up and down, you're crossing your fingers, you still haven't really put the plan in place. You might have the pieces, but you don't have it all set yet.
And that group tends to potentially take too much risk because they're trying to get caught up. They're really close. They're like, if I can just get some really good returns the next couple of years, I'm going to be okay. The problem is, what if a 2008 happens again? What if a COVID happens again? Those types of things can completely derail everything they've built up to that point.
Right. And so what would you say you see most frequently in the office? Overfunded, underfunded, right in the middle? What are we seeing a lot of today in your office?
I would say we see a lot of people that think they're in a different category than they are. We see people who are underfunded that think that they're good. We see people that are overfunded that think they're going to run out of money tomorrow. And, we're here to listen to what people are concerned about, but more importantly, to redefine what they should be concerned about. People will come in and say, they're worried about something they shouldn't be, not worried about something that they should be. And so once we're able to recreate what the focus is, that's what really brings that retirement plan into focus.
Okay, Tim, we've got a very short message right here. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the things that are overlooked when it comes to retirement planning, but you can get your own retirement blueprint yourself. No cost. Come on into the office, call, make an appointment. You can also use the QR code down on the bottom of the screen, open up your phone to the camera and point it at that black and white box. Click on it. It'll take you right over to the landing site. You can schedule your own appointment. But overlooked things in planning for your retirement when we get back with Tim Lofton right after this message.
Are you concerned that high inflation, rising interest rates, and stock market volatility may derail your retirement plan? If you're unsure how to manage your retirement withdrawals from your 401k or IRA to be sure you don't run out of money, at Axum Planning and Wealth, we'll help evaluate your retirement readiness. Contact us today for your own complimentary analysis and your very own retirement blueprint.
Welcome back to the Retirement Blueprint Show with Tim Lofton, Axum Planning and Wealth. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. Overlooked things in our retirement planning. Let's talk about estate planning. Estate planning isn't just what we're leaving to the heirs. It's sometimes being as tax efficient as possible. Do we need trust? Do we not need trust? There's a lot of medical and legal documents. But we tend to overlook this a lot.
We do.
Is it because it's complicated or because it's not fun to talk about?
Both. Both. I mean, nobody wants to talk about what happens when they're gone. Like, that's not an enjoyable conversation. And we have so many stories of people who ran into a brick wall by not having their estate planning done. We've had scenarios of clients who obviously have come in and their parents have lost everything because of a nursing home stay. That's avoidable. That's something that can be fixed through planning. And so if we can help people avoid that, that's a big first step. If you look at a nursing home stay today and a $5,000 a month to $15,000 a month bill does not have you concerned, then you're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah,
right?
we went from estate planning now talking about long-term care. I always want to go back to this, the leveraging of the long-term care tools, what we're using. We've said several times, so we're not going to go into it. Individual long-term care policies that are a use it or lose it, not a big fan.
Not a big fan.
There are other kinds of tools, though. Let's hopefully get excited about the estate planning, because there's multifaceted tools that you can use for yourself if you are still alive, and possibly the long-term care. Explain what some of those are.
Well, as we look at, the word trust, a lot of times people say, well, I have a trust. And my first question is always, well, what kind of trust do you have? Is it revocable? Is it irrevocable? Is it generational skipping? What is the trust designed to do? And this is an area, Spike, where a lot of times people are confused about what they even have. They have a revocable trust and believe that now things are protected from the nursing home when it doesn't actually do that. Or they don't understand that an irrevocable trust is actually moving everything they have into a trust that they no longer have control over, and sometimes they don't like that. At the end of the day, your estate plan needs to be built off of what it is that you want to have happen. The definition, our definition of estate planning is pretty simple. Or at least I say that, and you always give me a hard time about this, but it's a matter of taking care of the ones you love, when both you're living and after you've passed away. It gives what you want to who you want, when you want, with the least amount of fees possible.
Say it again. What is it? It's one of your favorites.
It is one of my favorites. It gives what you want to who you want, when you want, the way you want, with the least amount of fees possible.
We gotta put that into a T-shirt.
Yeah.
No, see, that does make it. Look, we're both smiling about it. It's true though. We get to define it how we want to, make sure that we're taking care of our loved ones or the community or the education centers that have helped us out. It's what do you want to do with it? But there are some living benefits of these tools that you are able to use. So the discussion of estate planning doesn't have to just be about end of life.
No.
It's about literally the word legacy. What do we want to leave behind? And that legacy can actually start while you are alive. Explain, and we've talked about this before as well. Do we want to give everything after we pass away? Or if we're comfortable living the lifestyle we want to with choice and dignity, what about gifting while we're alive? Maybe passing some of this along to the kids or the community while we're still alive, and we get to see them enjoy these gifts.
Exactly, and that's where, this is how estate planning becomes fun. Because we're looking at, passing money on, and we'll have clients sit down and they'll say, hey, I want everything to go to the kids. And I have to remind them, when the kids inherit this, they're going to be 80, you're going to be 80, they're going to be like 60 some years old. And you've missed out on, the enjoyment of seeing what they're going to do with it. Where you can maybe help them with their first house, maybe help the grandkids with college planning, those types of things with the dollars not needed for your retirement. It's a way to set those aside, making a difference in the community through charitable giving.
Right. So the retirement blueprint, for folks who are maybe just joining this program or have watched it a couple of times, I wanted to give you just a few minutes to truly go over it. We were just talking about estate planning, feeling like you're behind. There's a lot of different elements. It's not just about money, but let's start with it. It's investing, taxes, estate planning, healthcare choices, Social Security. Am I leaving anything out?
Income planning.
Income planning.
If any of the things that we've just talked about, if these are questions that have been on your mind that you don't have answers for, what are you waiting for? Let's get something down on paper that represents what you want your retirement to look like. If it's designing an estate plan to take care of you and your family, if it's making sure that we have a tax strategy in place that as you're taking money out of those tax-deferred accounts in retirement, that there is a strategy in place for you to pay the least amount of taxes. Remember, Spike, we're not in the tax elimination business, we're in the tax minimization business. Making sure that your income plan includes what happens if something happened to my spouse? What happens if my Social Security goes down? What happens if my pension went away? And then wrapping all of that around the safety of an estate plan, making sure the Social Security claiming strategy is correct. All of that goes into the retirement blueprint.
Okay, Tim. Now, you just talked for several minutes about that. I can't imagine that you do this all by yourself.
No.
Maybe a little bit on Axum team, the Axum Planning and Wealth team. Can you actually help us with that estate planning and the taxes along with the investing all inside the firm?
We can. We didn't just design a retirement plan, the retirement blueprint, but we actually have the expertise in office to make sure we can deliver on it. We have an estate planning attorney. We have a tax planning expert. We have a wealth management team. All of this is designed so that everyone is talking together. Maybe you have all these people right now in your life that you're working with. The question I would ask is, are they talking to each other? Does your wealth management team know what your estate planning attorney thinks you should do? Does your tax planning expert know what your wealth management team is doing on trading and taking money out of plans? And are all those people talking? You're paying for it.
Yeah.
Why don't you want to have that team truly a team?
And no offense to anybody out there, sometimes we just don't know what we don't know, that there are accumulation advisors, and that's probably the kind of firm that you use to get yourself to retirement. I think that's what you want to ask yourself, is that what am I looking for in far as service? What actually do the firms? So maybe that's the question. If you're feeling whether you're over-prepared for retirement or under-prepared or that you're behind, say, what can you help me with? It's not just about the investments, and we certainly don't want people just stepping on the gas right now.
Right.
You know, that's really taking a lot of risk to try to get ourselves to retirement.
Well, as we look out to next year, and do you have a strategy in place? Do you know what the next year is going to look like? This is your opportunity to make sure that your plan is going to last. If you already have a plan, take an hour of your time. Let us buy you a cup of coffee. Let us look over it, and we'll give you our opinion. If you're good to go, trust me, we're busy. We will send you on your way with a smile. But if you're not, don't you deserve to know now that there's a problem that could crop its head up maybe 10, 15 years from now and derail your retirement?
Tim, thank you very much. I'll see you in the radio booth in a little bit. We've got our weekly radio show that we do where we talk about this stuff as well. Folks, call for your own retirement blueprint. Call the phone number you see down there on the bottom of the screen. There is no cost for your retirement blueprint. There's no cost for you to come into the office. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll all be back next week.